Hey guys, Loot Wizard here with another video on Gems of War, and in this video I wanted to go over a few different Explore teams that I have been using to complete level 12 difficulty in the new Explore mode, which currently that is the best difficulty to farm Miststones because you get the most from that. You get, here it says 71 to 75 Miststones. If there is a 20% bonus on that kingdom, you'll get about 90. But, you know, we're just going to go by this here. So you could go down to difficulty 11 or 10, but as you can see, the Miststones, the reward for them drops quite a bit. So the best one to do is difficulty 12. Now, the problem is that the troops in this difficulty are very strong. They have a lot of attack, a lot of life, a lot of armor. So we're going to need a team that's going to be able to take care of those in a pretty decent time frame. So I have a few different Explorer teams that I've been using off and on. And of course there are other ones out there. You can come up with a different one than these. These are just the ones that I've been using right now. So this will give you some ideas of what you can do. Now, one of the things too to consider is that whatever kingdom you pick, the team will perform better or worse depending upon the troops you're fighting. Like this kingdom here, we already have a troop in here that has a reduction from skull damage by 50%. That's going to hurt us when we're using a team like this that relies upon Mang, which is going to rely upon converting all of their armor to attack damage. So you're going to be doing less damage to these types of troops because they are have that reduction to skull damage. However, if you go into a kingdom that does not have troops that have a lot of skull damage reduction, like I think Whitehelm doesn't really have too many, if I remember correctly last time I was through here. Well, there is one there. And that's about it. Now the thing is, if he gets stunned, that won't be a problem. But with Mang, honestly, because their armor is so high, 40% skull damage won't be too much of a problem for us. So, you know, let me just use one of these teams here. Actually, let's start at the bottom because in this week's event, the Tower of Doom, this team is actually very effective for that as well. So I can show you this with Explorer as well as showing you how this works. And since all of these troops here are purple and the weapon doesn't matter for that, because the Tower of Doom event is all purple. If you have all these troops, this will work great for that as well. It's a team I've been using, and I'm already up to floor 26, I believe. So yeah, the first thing here you're going to want to do is get your Mang full. Now, red and brown are going to be essential for that. And unfortunately, if there's a skull, you're going to have to use it right away if you don't want to take damage. I do have Rock Solid trait, which allows me to gain barrier on my Mang weapon whenever matching brown. But a lot of times, you know, there's not enough brown on the board. So, you just have to wait until those browns show up. And the reason why I have this troop here might not be the easiest to get. It is not a mythic troop. I just have it ascended to mythic. I believe it's rare, so it might be a little more difficult to get than some other basic troops. But it's great for this kind of setup with Mang because it cleanses, it barriers, and then it gives them life. But the critical ability of it is to move them to the front of the team. So if you do have those annoying troops that you're fighting against that knocks their first troop to the bottom, then you can use Skrymir the Lofty to move the Mang weapon up to the top once again. Which, if your Mang is your main source of damage, you're going to want to do that. Otherwise, Mang is pointless if it's not in the first spot. So, as you can see, I am struggling just a little bit, but it shouldn't be a problem ultimately. And I do have barrier on everything because I'm actually using a different class. I'm not using Titan class, I'm actually using the Sentinel class, which one of its traits is that it will have a 25% chance to bury a random ally at the start of my turn. It also does have skull damage reduction. But this right here is great because, as you can see, now all of my troops have barrier, which if he targets one of those, it's going to save them from that damage. And once we go ahead and cast Mang another time here, we should have enough attack damage to start taking these guys down. Now, one of the reasons why I have this troop in here, which you probably will never use this troop outside of it with Mang, at least I never do, but it's great when it's paired up with Mang simply because it can transform a selected mana gem into a skull. So a lot of times you don't have an opportunity of a 3-match skull, but you have this right here where you have a skull, gem, skull, and that happens a lot. Now with Azirus, all we have to do is just transform that center gem into a skull, and bam. The other great thing about Azirus is that it is a very low mana cost of only 6 mana, and it has Magic Link, which makes it have a bonus to purple mana. So pretty much, it almost gets completely full with just one single match of purple. Great. Now, I could use Azirus here again, or I could use Keeper of Souls, simply because this is going to give us a lot more skulls on the board to work with. Because what it does is it transforms all gems with chosen color to skulls. So that's also a very good troop. It's a legendary troop, so you can get these out of glory keys pretty easily, I think, if you spend enough glory. So I probably will use Keeper Souls here because we do have a 4-match. If we transform red into skulls, we have a 4-match right here, which will give us an extra turn, and it will give us a lot of skulls on the board. Now, we do have Azirus up as well, which means that we can go ahead and transform another gem, and to get a 4-match, we got an extra turn. Now, we didn't even need the extra turn, but, you know, if you needed it, you could do that as well. So, Keeper Souls, Azirus, Mang, and then finally in the last spot, you have Skrymir the Lofty. That is a very great team for if you can put them together in high-level delves, for these high-level explorer teams, and for events like the one that's going on right now with the Tower of Doom. It is a great team. Now, let's go and switch to a different team, which is my Devourer explorer team. And this one relies on a different weapon called Earth's Fury. Now, this weapon is some kind of event weapon. I don't remember where or which event it comes from, but when this kingdom comes around, Grosh Nok, this weapon should be available in the Soul Forge to craft for 300 diamonds. And I definitely recommend it because it's a great weapon in these kinds of situations. So what we're going to do is this right here, its ability will eliminate all armor from an enemy and deal damage, but it gives all allies 2 attack boosted by armor eliminated. So when it eliminates all the armor from an enemy troop, it's going to give all of your troops a lot of attack. And that's great because we have this mythic troop, High King Iron Gut, which is the king of Devourer. It does deal a little damage, but that's beside the point. The main ability here we need to focus on is that it has a chance to devour an enemy troop equal to its attack. Then it gains an extra turn. So you want to get its attack, and it starts out with 39 attack. You want to get this up to 100 as quickly as possible because that will be the percentage that it has to devour. So that's going to be our main deal there. Now, the good thing about this team is that we don't just have to rely upon the devour function of this troop. With the weapon here, Earth's Fury, it's going to be giving a lot of attack damage to all of the troops in this team, which means they all potentially have damage. And we have our mana generator in 3rd spot here with the Leprechaun. Starts with full mana, and it will explode green gems. And then finally in last spot, we have another mana generator, which is the Rock Troll, which will double the number of brown gems on the board, which is great because both Earth's Fury and High King Iron Gut uses brown mana. For the banner, we're using the double brown and 1 purple. Now, for class, I do have the Sentinel on here, but it will actually work better with the Titan class. I had Sentinel in there simply because I was trying to level it up with this team, but for the sake of this, I will change it back to Titan. Now, what does Titan do? Why is that better? Well, it still gives you rock solid, but it makes Earth's Fury weapons start with half mana, because all giants start with 50% mana, and since the Rock Troll is considered a giant, it will also start with 50% mana, so you will have, you'll get this team going faster with the Titan class. So let's go in and see how this one does. And we're going to go ahead and look for all the 4 and 5 matches, get those out of the way. Go ahead and cast that. Now, I'm not even going to worry about getting any of these skull matches here because we want to save the armor for our weapon, plus we already have barrier. So we're going to want to find the highest armor enemy right here, 157. We're going to attack that. That converts a lot of that armor into attack for all of our troops. Now, with High King Iron Gut, we're at 94% Devour, which is great. We could take a chance on that if we wanted to, and try to devour one of these teams. Now, the other thing, if you're running this team, you want to look at the cards here on the enemy troops, just to make sure that it doesn't have an immunity to devour before you cast High King Iron Gut. And the 94% chance to devour happened. And we devoured that one. So now we basically just need to get the Earth's Fury back up, or get High King Iron Gut up. And we can go ahead and devour another troop, gain an extra turn, and since we have this up, we can double the number of brown. It's already at 13, so we should not have a single problem getting a High King Iron Gut up once that goes off. And then we will be able to devour the next one. And yeah, we only have 1 troop left. We just have to get a skull match or get High King Iron Gut back up. And he's up. Devour. Done. Now, this team is the one I have been using the most in Explorer, simply because it's the most effective, especially if you're up against troops that don't have an immunity to Devour, which this kingdom here, White Helm, doesn't seem to have any in it. Now, there are other kingdoms that do have an immunity to Devour on a lot of their troops, and that's where you will have better success with something like this team here that relies upon Mang and creating skulls. Now, a third team that I've been using does also rely upon attack damage, but in a different way. So, this is a different weapon here, and this weapon is called the Shield of Urskaya. Now, this weapon can be acquired by getting 250 wins with the Sentinel class, because that is the Urskaya class. And what this weapon does is it gives an ally a certain amount of armor boosted by all enemy attack. And then it enrages and barriers them. So, with this team setup, I'm also relying heavily upon the Ethereal Sentry, which increases an ally's attack by their armor. So that's very important to this team. You want to be able to cast that after you cast the shield on a troop so that you can increase its attack by its armor. And of course, in the last spot, we have Keeper of Souls that is going to be creating skulls for us, so we don't have to rely upon that. Now, if you don't have Keeper of Souls, you can put a different troop in there that will create skulls, like Aziris or any other skull creating troop. So yeah, for banner, I have double brown, 1 blue, simply because we have Deep Borer in the top spot, which is immune to stun, poison, disease, death mark, and devour. So it's immune to a lot of stuff, so that's great. Gives a bonus to blue mana, has a small mana cost, also reduces damage from skulls by 25%. But we won't even have to rely on that too much because we are going to be creating barrier on it with the shield. But this is also a mana generator because it will destroy a column, it'll create 9 brown gems, it also gains a little bit of armor. So having that in first spot is great, and it won't block the shield at all. So yeah, the only thing that really we need to focus on is getting the shield up, casting it on Deep Borer, and then getting the Ethereal Sentry up and casting that on the Deep Borer, and then we will have a high attack damage. So let's go in and I'll just show you how it works. It is a little bit slower than the other two teams that I showed you, but it is still very effective. I don't think it's really too much slower. So we already have the shield up here. I'm going to go ahead and cast that on there. Now as far as generating the brown mana, we're going to be using Deep Borer for that. So obviously if you have brown already on the board, you can go ahead and you know, match that. I don't really have... I have brown on the board here, but I didn't have anything to match quite yet. And connect that so we don't take any damage there. We really, you know, that was a really unfortunate situation there. It almost killed this troop. It's down to 17 life. So you really want to protect this one too. And if you have to, you might have to cast a shield here on this one just to make sure that it doesn't die right away, because it's really essential to this team. And I'll show you here. Now let's cast a shield once more on here. And now if we cast this on this, now the attack of the Deep Borer is at 471. It's also enraged, which is going to give it more attack damage too. Now, we also have the Keeper's Souls up. Nothing is frozen. So we should be able to get an extra turn here, right here, if we... Oops. Well, I didn't mean to click that, but we could have got an extra turn by matching all of those red. It doesn't matter, though, that one died because we already used it. So, now I gotta keep my finger off the mouse button here. Do we have any way to create a 4-match? Kind of messed up my plan there, but we do have, we can match purple there, but that's about it. Otherwise we can match brown here, and that's about it. So I think I'm gonna pass. We're just gonna cast Deep Borer. And now we have a 4-match of skulls right up there at the top with yellow. So we're gonna go kill that guy, we'll kill that guy. It's time for revenge, for my revenge here on these guys. Yeah, let's go ahead and create some more brown. And we got lucky with some skull drops there. Once you get it going, it's a little slow start with this team, but it is effective. So yeah, that's that team. I do have a third team with Mang here that is a little different. Instead of using Scrymere the Lofty and Keeper's Souls, I do have Apothecary and the Wild Queen Mythic in the last spot. And yeah, I can use this here for the 4th battle just to show you what this team does. Once again, you want to get Mang up first. And gotta make sure you keep that barrier up on Mang so it doesn't die, because that's your main source of damage. Now, I don't like what this troop just did. He just barriered everything. So that's going to be a little bit of a problem. But, Nice thing about, a fun fact about Mang is that even if something has barrier on it, it'll still destroy the armor. I don't know if that's a bug or if it's intended, but that's definitely a thing. Get rid of that guy, and yeah, let's go ahead. We'll take barrier off of this bishop down here and destroy its armor, create attack there. Now, we got a Xerus, we can take out another one here. And as you can see, I really do enjoy using a Xerus for situations like this, simply because it's just really effective. So, let me see here. Let's go ahead and convert this into brown. Now we can finally use the Wild Queen. So the Wild Queen will steal attack damage from an enemy troop and give it to the first ally, which is going to be our Mang. It'll create a mix of 22 skulls and green gems. And the green gems will fill up Apothecary again and possibly the Wild Queen. So that gives us some skulls to work with. And we do have Mang up. Let's go ahead and cast it on there so we can remove the barrier. And there you go. That team might be a little more clunky than the other three that I showed, but it still works. So now we're at the mini boss battle, and once you defeat that, then you can go, you get your mist stones from defeating the mini boss battle here, and then you go into the mythic battle if you have 100 mist stones. So now the thing with this here is this troop is actually pretty hard. It's pretty good tank when it's on your team, and it's bad when you're fighting against it because it has a reduction of spell damage, skull damage, and it will inflict silence when enemies deal skull damage to it. So, but the silence won't really affect us too much because silence just keeps you from gaining mana and from casting a spell. Silence does not stop you from doing skull damage. So the only thing here that we have to worry about is this 50% skull damage reduction. But if it hits us with skull damage, it'll get stunned, and then that won't even matter. The other thing that this troop does is if one of my troops is silenced, then it casts its spell. It's going to enchant all of its allies. So, let's see. Yeah, none of these have any major skull damage, but this gains barrier. Yeah, I mean, I think this team here should still be able to defeat it. So, let's go for it. I know this video is a little bit longer than most ones I've created, but I kind of wanted to go through an entire cycle here showing of the level 12 difficulty battles and Explorer, and showing off some of the teams that I have been using, just to give you guys some ideas of what you can do. Now I'm in a situation here where do I do the skull damage to it, which will silence me, which I don't want that because I actually want to get my attack up high enough. I don't think I have a 4-match possible for Brown if I use Apothecary, but at least that will protect me from having skull damage done to me, and that will possibly stun that troop there, which would be good. So let's see, what can I turn? I could do yellow, blue, or purple. And do some blue. So now it's stunned because it hit me. So now the damage there won't be, the skull damage reduction won't even be in effect as long as it's stunned. So we're gonna go ahead and take its armor off, and we're gonna kill it with a Xerus. Get rid of that troublesome troop.
Mana surge.
like that. He just killed my Aziris. But we still have the Wild Queen, so we still have a troop that's capable of creating skulls for us. Now this is a dangerous situation, but... Oh no. What is this thing doing? Deal 39 damage to me boosted by my armor. Oh, that's not cool. That's not cool. I should have looked at that closer. I might lose this. I should have hit him with Mang first, but I was too concentrated on that other troop.
Mana surge.
No. Alright, so we lost one here. It happens. It happens. It happens.
Mana surge.
So we can just redo this.
Mana surge.
I'm surprised he doesn't just like kill me already. There we go. Yeah, so what? Okay, so yeah, that's what it was. I forgot I was at the mini boss battle. So if you lose the mini boss battle, I was thinking I was on the 4th. I had a okay, yeah, I know exactly what happened. Sorry. I thought I was at the 4th battle of the Explorer, and if that happens and you lose, you can redo the battle. But I lost the mini boss battle, so I wasn't able to go on and do the mythic boss. So that's fine though. I think I accomplished my goal here. That those teams work pretty good, but obviously this team does have some problems if you're not careful. Out of these 4 teams, I think that the Devourer team is the strongest and the fastest. Second to that, I would say this one's the second fastest if you're careful enough. But this one is like a medium speed, but it's more safe. You just have to protect this guy until you cast him on Deep Bore. And then, you know, it's pretty much smooth after that. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys, as always, or listening, whichever way that you're consuming this video. And yeah, those are some teams that I use for Explorer, so hope that helps you guys out, and later.